This here is Piper. Her buddy Avery, right? Emry. I was close. It was a Emry sounding song. Anyways, he just did on my lap what she's doing right now. In this video, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks that you can offer or you can use if you have a very nervous dog. Now, both these dogs are rescue dogs from one of our favorite rescues, Little White Dog Rescue here in Omaha, right?
Yep.
Now she was shaking a little bit. She's not now. I'm not trying to pet her. Now, this is one of the most common mistakes people make when they have a rescue dog or a fearful dog, is they want to pet the dog and let it know it's okay. Anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're amplifying, including unbalanced states of mind like excitement, anxiety, stress, fear. And you can let a dog know I'm here with you by laying your hand on them, which is essentially what I'm doing here. But the reason she's nervous is because she's with somebody she doesn't know. Now, what I did, I'm offering her the ability to sniff me or lick me, but I'm not actually, if she turns her head away, which she did, that's her way of saying no, and I'm listening to her. Now you're shivering a little bit more. Okay, so a lot of times we think we're going to do the dog a favor by petting it to tell it I'm a good person. The best thing you can do is give the dog space. So when we have guests come over, which we don't have a lot, but we'd like to try to arrange to have the guardians to invite some guests over to practice this. When the guests come over here, they should ignore the dogs completely. Now, he barked a little bit and then finally kind of settled down. I was tossing treats. When I was doing the treat tossing, now, it won't work as well for her because he's going to steal the treats. So we might have to have somebody take him for a walk or have him in the kennel, unless he really protests in the kennel. Well, what I did is I threw the first treat right in front of him. The next treat was a little bit closer to me. The next one was a little bit closer to me. I gradually got him close to the point where he'd come all the way to my foot to take him. Next stage, I left some on my foot, and he would come and take the ones not on my foot, the ones leading up to it. Eventually, he did take the ones off my feet. For dogs, what we want the dog to do is practice in the easiest capacity possible versions of the end result. So the end result is the dog coming all the way to me. So I'm just getting the dog practice getting up and coming close and then walking away. And when it comes close, something good happens. In this case, it gets a positive reinforcer in the course of a treat, and then it gets to walk away. So it took about an hour, but eventually he was coming all the way up and he was taking the treats right off my lips, right off my, not my lips, but my shoe. But I was able to get him to take treats out of my hand. Now, the next stage was what I'm doing here, which is a little bit of a process we call flooding. So I wanted for him to be nice and relaxed first. I had his guardian pick him up and put him on my lap like this. Now, when they did that, I didn't pet him. I just kind of held him to make sure he didn't squirm away. So you see a little bit of interest there, and she moved away. That's all we're looking for, is just little steps along the process. That's why we do the treats. Take one, at first it's just the dog has to lean forward to get the treat, and then it goes away. Then it takes one step, and then 2 steps, and 3 steps. And if the dog gets to a certain plateau, which we had it happen with him a couple times where he stopped coming, well, then we move the treat back a little bit closer and back in his comfort zone and help practice that step at a little bit easier capacity, then gradually moved it forward. Okay, so now she's not a big fan. The dogs both have some accidents in here, so I went through some potty training tricks off camera, but she doesn't like walking outside. Now, sometimes once she gets outside, she'll actually do it, but she has escaped harnesses a little bit and some collars, so we have a martingale collar we're going to put her on. We're going to take her for a little mini walk. But what I'd like to do is get her practiced doing things with humans. Now, for dogs, because anything they're doing when we pet them is what we're amplifying. She's shaking a little bit now. If I pet her, I'm going to amplify this. If we take her on a walk, now she's distracted because there's sights and sounds and smells. It's a different location. There's things, she's accustomed to everything in the apartment. So not only that, but there's changing environment. There's different urine sounds or smells, urine sounds. Probably some of those too. Traffic and the breeze and the sunlight and all the rest of that fun stuff. But also dogs get over things by literally walking forward. So by moving forward, we help her not dwell on things, and she's moving forward, which helps her adapt to things. And eventually we would like this to become a process where she enjoys going for walks. Now, before we get this and start doing this with other people, we need to do this with getting her just comfortable going for a walk. So what we want to do is we want to find a location that she likes to walk at. And if we have to pick her up and carry her to that location and let her just practice in the location, that's great. Next time maybe we get to the location after the location, maybe we take one step. Let me take a look here. This might be my assistant. Yes, it is. Can you answer that? That's Adam, and you might have to buzz him and let him in. Or
hi, this is Justin.
This is my assistant Adam calling. So we're multi-doggone problems. We got 2 people after this. So what we'd like to do is take her to a place where it's going to be really easy for her to walk. Now, it could be an outdoor location, but some dogs do better inside. If that's the case, We could do something like taking the dog to Lowe's or Home Depot. Those are dog-friendly stores. Or she's good with other dogs, so we might want to take her to a doggy daycare facility, or a Petco or PetSmart or a dog store, something along those lines. That was Adam, correct? Was that Adam?
Just.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna knock on the door.
Okay. You buzzed him in already? Okay. So when he does, I'll let you answer the door and just grab the martingale and he can take off. He doesn't have to come in. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to basically help her practice moving forward in an easy capacity. So we're going to pick a location that she likes, and we're going to do it with her handlers, not with an outside person. Eventually, when we get to the point where she's comfortable on those walks, then we can actually start incorporating somebody else. But let's back up a little bit. For the walks, she does not like walking away from the apartment. She wants to stay in here. This is her safe zone. She likes to hide out under the couch. So one of the things we want to do is we want to provide her with a sanctuary to go to. She's got a kennel that's covered so she can go there. But hiding under the couch is a little antisocial. So what we might want to do is just actually get a piece of cardboard, some sort of box that we put underneath her and block that access point. It's going to make her want to go there a little bit more so she's not recusing herself. The next thing we might do is to put her on the martingale collar, which is going to be delivered like in seconds. Go to the end of the hallway, walk her from the end of the hallway to the apartment. So she wants to go home. So this way we're using the easiest capacity possible, helping her walk. And each time after that, we would take her a little bit further away and a little bit further away. But the end goal is the reward. This is a great way to train your dog without using treats, by putting something your dog really wants at the end of an activity. So now she's moving forward. She's going back home, so she's motivated to go home. And we get her practice doing that. Now, each time we go a little bit further and a little bit further, and eventually maybe you get to her on the next floor, and we walk around the hallway, and then we take the stairs down, and then the next hallway and come back. So we're gradually going to elongate this. Now, if she really shuts down, we can do things like by tossing treats on the ground, even though I just said this is a way to not do it with treats. But if treats are something that motivates her, we want to use those treats. We want to use every advantage that we possibly can. Now, the martingale will also help because it's going to wrap around her chest. I show her guardians off camera. This is the same science as swaddling a baby. The constriction actually helps the baby feel comfortable. And for dogs, it can be the same way. It takes a little bit of control away as well, which helps the dog kind of give up that control. And I think that she is just a nervous dog, and her guardians have been petting her at times when she's nervous to try to soothe her, which a lot of us do, but that actually backfires and amplifies it. So by stopping doing that will really help. Taking her on walks will really help. Teaching her new tricks and skills will really help. I went through petting with a purpose and passive training off camera. Passive training is just every time she comes, we pet her and say come. Every time she lays down, we pet her and say crash. And so the more that we do these things, the more we're going to build up her self-esteem and her confidence level. Is that him?
Call ended.
Oh, all right. So basically, thank you, Adam. So we got a little bit of barking there. Now, so we can also do things to help the dog be slightly distracted. And I talked to the guardian about doing something called behavior adjustment training. I asked if she had some Parmesan cheese, which she did not. So one of the things that we do in behavior adjustment training is we provide the dog with a very mild distractor, a stimulus of some sort, to help the dog be a little bit left of center while it's being exposed to something. Now, the distance and the proximity are going to be really important. For dogs, the closer they get to eventually you get to a point where the dog shuts down or whatever it is. So what we want to do is find out what that distance is. So what I do is maybe start walking her towards, or having somebody walk towards her. As soon as she turns her head, licks her lips, turns her body to the side, that's her way of saying I'm uncomfortable with that. Well, so we take note of whatever that distance is. Let's say that's 12 feet. So then what we might do is we might actually take some Parmesan cheese or some shredded Romano cheese and sprinkle a trail from about 13 feet up to the person. And so now she's kind of coming and getting this treat, and while she's doing this, the person is being very calm. They're not looking at her, they're not talking to her, they're not moving, and they're quiet. Movement can be spooky for dogs like this. And so eventually she kind of comes up towards the person, and if she doesn't come all the way, that's fine. A lot of people, we want to push and get everything. If she only comes, let's say she was scared at 13 feet, but she comes to 11 feet, that's a celebration, that's progress. And then basically we would let her go away, give her a chance to settle down. Maybe her guardian sits down, has her on her lap, doesn't pet her, wait till she stops shaking, pets her a little bit, gives her a little belly rub, unless she's flipping over right away. Remember, that's too insecure. And then comes back and tries it again. And this time we might get a little bit closer. The idea is to practice a short iteration, and then as soon as the dog walks away, let the dog walk away. And now the dog feels empowered. I got as close to the person that I felt comfortable with. As I got closer, I got more and more of these goodies and these treats. And then as soon as I said that was enough and I can't handle anymore, my guardian listened to me. My guardian allowed me to walk away. A lot of us, like, we want to meet Jim. I don't want to meet Jim. I don't like the way Jim looks. Jim's a really nice person. Here, you're going to meet Jim, and we're going to force the dog to do it. And that teaches the dog not to listen to us. We're not going to trust. We're not to be trusted. And so the more the dog approaches and gets to move away, and approaches, moves away, each time they get a little bit more confident. Just like us, the more we get to know someone, the more trust and confidence we have in them. And so for the dog, we really have to go very slow and let her figure this out on her own. But eventually, if every time a guest comes around, or I go to meet a guest or something like that, I get this really tasty Romano cheese, or I get chicken, or I get these other positive reinforces, I feel more and more comfortable with it. Now, when we have dogs that are really nervous like this, and yes, you're pretty nervous, then we have to, it takes a little bit of time. So the petting with a purpose and passive training and enforcing the rules will really help shrink their world and help them adopt more of a follower's mindset. I believe that these dogs have cortisol coursing through their blood, especially when they're in somebody's lap like this. Now, she's not shaking as much now, but again, I'm not petting her. All I want her to do is just realize that being next to me does not mean that doom is impending. But as we do this, we should start seeing the dog feel more and more comfortable, more and more confident, and less reactive. And eventually it gets to the point where the dog runs up to the person, is happy when the person shows up. Okay, now I want to ask the guardians to practice a lot of the steps we're going to talk in the Roadmap to Success video, which will be below this one, about some other things. But right now we want to focus on building up her confidence with new tricks and commands, getting her on regular walks. And regular walks should be a daily walk, even if it's just, like I said, just right in the hallway. And we have to walk her away. And then eventually if we go outside, it's the same thing. We have to walk her drive a block away. A guardian drops us off. And then we get out with the dog and we walk back to the apartment complex. Eventually we should be able to walk away and back, or to and fro. But right now, if she wants to protest and shut herself down, then we're just going to make it as easy as possible until she gets comfortable in that skill set. Then we're going to make the next one a little bit more challenging. Okay, a couple other things. If she's licking her lips, that's a sign of security. See how her ears are a little bit back right now? That's also a sign of discomfort. Turning the head to the side and yawning also could be a sign of stress or anxiety. We like to see dogs sniffing and licking. And so that's why if the dog approaches someone, like I said, even if it's just a little bit at a time and gets to move away, they're coming and they're getting a little bit more sniffs of that person. Now, there's one last little thing that we can do that sometimes helps. Sometimes when I have a dog that's too petrified, I try to take away a sense or two. So in her case, for dogs that are very fearful of new people, one of the things I do is I actually introduce scent alone. So what I would do is maybe if we're going to go to somebody's house or have somebody come over, send the person or ask them to send you a hand towel or a washcloth. Just next time you mow the lawn or you work out, just take this and wipe yourself off, both sides of it, wipe off a bunch of sweat, put it in a Ziploc bag, and give it to the Ziploc bag with it sealed. Suck the air out of it. So what I do then is I put the washcloth on the floor, and then I put and let the dog come sniff it. And now I'm going to sniff it. It's the smell of a human that I've never met, but there's no other human here. So I feel comfortable. And you might have to leave it for a little while. And then eventually when the dog comes and sniffs it and walks away, then you want to take a treat and put the treat there. Now the dog goes over and sniffs it. When it licks up the treat, it gets a little taste of the person or a little scent of the person. And it's easy because it's not a real person, it's just the smell, one sense only. I did this with my puppy, and by the time I went to meet my puppy, he knew exactly who I was before I even met him, because he knew my scent. So this is a nice way, again, to help introduce the dog by taking away one of the elements and helping the dog process that one and gain some confidence. Now she's a lot more relaxed now. You can see I don't have to hold. And you saw when I took my hand away, she kind of wanted to sniff me a little bit. Shows that she's feeling more and more comfortable. If your dog is grooming itself, licking itself, these are also signs the dog's comfortable, because when we're petrified, we're not checking to see how our hair looks. Dogs are kind of the same way. All right, well, these are some tips and tricks that you can use to help a dog that's nervous and anxious around new people.